All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, they working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday morning, August 31st. It is 10:03 on the East Coast. I am Craig. I'm joined by Pride and Ron. Morning, boys. How we doing?
I'm good, bro. I've been waiting for today. Ron had me triggered. He had me flummoxed, confused, baffled, and bewildered. So, Ronald, today's the day you got some explaining to do. And Craig, you said you have some questions for me also. I am ready to defend myself. Just remember, I'm going to start saying this. It's going to be my disclaimer. My takes are not bad. They are just, to quote the great Charles Barkley, terrible.
I'm ready.
Rod's ready. Yeah, I know it wasn't on the show yesterday, but I listened in and I heard some interesting things. But I'm really curious to see how you guys. We're gonna talk the North divisions today. A little bit later in the show, we're gonna talk some NFC North and AFC North outlooks. We'll talk some college football, and of course, NFL roster cuts were yesterday, and the waiver pickups start at noon today, just under 2 hours. So we're going to talk about all that this morning. But before we do, make sure if you are watching on the stream today, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter, give us a like, give us a share, or a follow. Helps out the show, helps out the network. And you can find us on Facebook at All Sports All Plays, Twitter at ASAP Network 1, and on YouTube, just search ASAP Sports Network. Give us a like, follow, share, and sub to the channel. Always helps us out for sure. A lot of great shows on this network. We have a few that run every day of the week, seems like. Afternoon Blitz, Easy Money, Her in the Huddle was last night. Throwing Hands was last night. Lots of great shows. We've got shows every day of the week. So we've got you covered no matter what sport you follow on All Sports All Plays Network. All right. I got my coffee ready. I'm ready to have some conversations with you boys. So let's get right into it. NFL roster cuts were yesterday. And I think there were some surprising moves. Some of them maybe not so much. But with all those cuts, and you guys talked about Jimmy G and that situation yesterday, a few other kind of surprising moves were made. But I kind of pose this question out to you guys to start the day. Do you have a roster cut that was really surprising to you, or like just out of left field, and anything that happened yesterday?
So I have one that I don't want to say it surprised me because this individual got cut. Just surprised that the Raiders gave up on this guy so quick, and that's Alex Leatherwood. They drafted him. If I am wrong, someone fact him. I think he's a guard. Yes, he was terrible. I'm not gonna lie, he was terrible. But you spent a first-round pick on the guy to give up on him after just a year. I feel like that's a little. I don't know. I feel like that was a little too panicky. You know. Josh Gordon, from Kansas City, I kind of saw it coming because the one thing that he kind of had, like they kind of used him as like a middle threat the few times they did use him. And then they got Juju Smith-Schuster, who's pretty good in the middle threat. You're not going to see Travis Kelce take on more of that middle threat. So it kind of left them in an odd man out situation where I feel bad for him, but at the same time, it is what it is. One that really blew my mind, Tampa Bay letting go of Logan Ryan.
Yeah, that was a bit surprising.
That one was huge. However, I was kind of looking into it because I was like, he had to have a bad training camp. He had to yell at someone. He must have called Tom Brady the B word. He had to do something crazy. But based on what I'm understanding, they did let him go. But the thought is once they put Ryan Jensen on the IL, then, or I'm sorry, the IR. I'm thinking baseball. But when they put him on the IR, Logan Ryan would be the first guy that they reach out to put back to bring them onto that 53-man roster. So from what I understand, they released him, but that's just more of a we're juggling the roster type of situation because we don't want to let go. I don't think they can let go of Ryan Jensen because he's injured. So they just kind of they let go of Logan Ryan. So that way they can put Ryan Jensen on the IR and then bring him back. So, so that'll be kind of, woo. Marlon Mack. A lot of people thought that was a big one. But I didn't think so considering the guy's he gets injured way too much now, and especially when you're looking at running backs, their lifespan is already short. So I get that. About my New England Patriots, there were a couple cuts that perplexed me, but I will never question the great Bill Belichick. Wide receiver Lil Jordan Humphrey, I thought honestly he would stay. I did like him a lot. I thought he was gonna, I thought he was fit.
You thought the Patriots and Bill Belichick drafted a good wide receiver?
No, we didn't draft him. No, we didn't draft him. No. But first of all, hardy har. Okay, whatever. You're a Philly fan, right? Didn't y'all draft Jalen Rager? Settle down.
You don't have to get so
AJR Sega Whiteside.
Oh, thank you, Craig. It's even worse. Anyway, Lil Jordan Humphrey was oof. There were a couple questionable things that we did, but again, it's Bill Belichick, so I'm not going to fact check them. I don't want to take all of them, but those are just some of the ones that kind of leaped out to me.
Yeah, I was a little surprised about the Logan Ryan move, outright releasing him, and I was kind of interested about the Alex Leatherwood situation as well. And you mentioned he was a first rounder 2021, but it also he was also, I think, around the same time that Mike Mayock was drafting like the Henry Ruggs and Damon Arnett and that stuff. So it seems like they're just trying to sever ties with people that were brought into the organization by him and Gruden.
Could be that's actually a great point, because that's probably truly what it is, where now they're trying to kind of phase out those guys that, like, if you slip up just a little bit, they're probably looking to cut you. So that actually is a good point. That's a great point you brought up.
I think it's an indictment on the Raiders.
Yeah.
Oh, the Leatherwood release. Yeah. The
fact
release?
that their last 6 first-round picks are no longer on the team. All 6. Is just wild. And I think that's our biggest sign to, you need some depth from some guys that you drafted 3, 4, 5 years ago to build your roster, the leaders, the veterans, and they have none. They all been cut.
You're not wrong though.
Yeah, they had quite a few. I was a little surprised Marlon Mack too, because we talked about Marlon Mack a little bit. I think it was on Monday. We were chatting about the AFC South and some of where we thought some of the teams were going to fall. Josh Gordon, man, it just, ever since he got busted by the NFL for his extracurricular activities.
Drugs!
Right? Others that, like, probably what shouldn't have been slapped it down so hard on, especially considering some of the other things they let slide. Not going to go back into yesterday, but Josh Gordon kind of had a feeling that maybe he would make the Chiefs. But to your point, a lot of the moves that they made, people they've brought in, it was really just a crowded wide receiver room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
a lot of QBs got released yesterday. Kellen Mond, who's a former 3rd round pick, Josh Rosen on like his 10 millionth team trying to make that.
It's kind of funny you said Josh Rosen, because guess what I just saw yesterday? The clip of when he got drafted. There were 9 mistakes made ahead of me. Like, I saw that clip and I was like, oh, Josh, if only I can go back in time and warn you of your like, yeah, but now that Kellen Mond one, yeah, they've been trying to give Kellen Mond the opportunity to prove that he's the future. And yeah, I don't know. I guess this preseason was his ultimate test, because he was all right up until then. You know, he wasn't nothing great, but he was showing some improvement. So I guess when they put him in the preseason games and he couldn't show the improvement on the field, they kind of got sick of it and it was like, well, you know, we wish you the best in your future endeavors.
Yeah, he was also part of the previous regime there. They have a new front office staff, new head coach, and they've been it seems like that's been the trend recently with a lot of teams that are having some movement in the front office or at the head coach. They're just little by little clearing house from the previous regime because they don't fit what they think is going to make the team successful going forward. So I'd be a little surprised if somebody like a Kellen Mond doesn't get picked up today, tomorrow, you know, by a team that's still trying to figure out their QB situation. Nate Sudfeld got released and then picked up by the Lions. We'll talk about them later on. But there's a lot of QBs. The Cowboys are down to just Dak.
I was about to say
they released Cooper Rush and Will Greer.
Yep. Yeah, I was about to say, if Dallas, right now, there's a solid plethora of backups. So if you're gonna look for a backup, you better try to grab it now, because who knows what's gonna end up, you know. Who knows how things are gonna look like in a couple weeks? You know what I mean? Forget a couple weeks, couple days, because like you said, it starts today. You know, OJ Howard got released and he's working out with the Bengals.
Bengals, yeah.
And the Bengals are basically like, oh yeah, no, we're signing you. Like we told you it was a workout. We just wanted you here. Like we're already signing you. So bless him.
Yeah, Philip Lindsay. Go ahead, Ron.
I just have a roster cut shout out to the home squad, my Rams. We were close there. I didn't know if McCutcheon was going to make the team, but he did, of course, undrafted, and the Rams officially have the best number 2 wide receiver in the league with McCutcheon.
I mean, what about Van Jefferson? Oh no, did he mess up his knee?
Yeah, Vance is out for a little bit.
Zoinks. Wow.
We got Allen Robinson too. We got a big 3.
Allen Robinson, yeah, I always felt bad for him when he got drafted to the Jaguars and he had Blake Bortles throwing to him.
Yeah.
Or should I say attempting to throw to him? And then he went to Chicago and it got worse. He was so talented coming out of Penn State. And he just now that's where he is.
We've been waiting for him to have that year ever since, and it has not happened.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to be this year, because I am all the way riding for McCutcheon.
Well, I think he still gets touches, but it won't be as much. I think in the beginning they start trying to make him the number 2, and then
Robinson?
Yeah, I think and then as time goes on, because once Van comes back, he's gonna have to get his touches. I need to know, Pride, is Joe Judge calling the plays this season?
Joe Judge.
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that, man.
Don't worry about Joe Judge, he says.
Don't worry about that, man. Because I don't want to play. I don't want to live anymore, man. I don't want to live anymore.
I don't want to live no more.
Bro.
It's coming at the front door.
Yeah, I think it was like a couple of days ago, Joe Judge was like, oh, yeah, you can't chase the narratives. How about chasing one person to call the plays consistently? Can we chase that, please? Got Matt Patricia, like a defensive guy calling of offensive plays. Okay? We're fucked.
I'm sorry. He lost all credibility when he came to Detroit and traded away Darius Slay for literally a bag of chips and traded away all their good players. And he still tried to hold some credibility by going back to New England. And the offense is not looking good.
I thought he lost all credibility when he had the plastic clipboard and a pen to write on it.
No. You want to know when he lost credibility to me? I'm gonna tell you what. Man, honestly, he lost credibility for me just as a head coach, not as because a defensive coordinator. He's solid. He is. But where he really lost it for me was when he came out immediately and was like, "Oh yeah, I'm running this thing like Bill Belichick," because I learned from him. I'm like, all right, cool, fine. But Bill Belichick didn't come in New England was all and off the rip was an authoritarian.
Right.
Like he got there as he started saying, all right, look, y'all gotta respect me. Look, I'm good. Now I can yell at y'all. Now I can be a dick. Because I'm showing y'all I'm good. I know what I'm doing. And he didn't do that. It was ridiculous. He tried to act like, oh yeah, because I'm from the Belichick. It's the same thing with Brian Flores. When he went down there, he was like, look, I'm gonna be rough, but I'll be tough on y'all. But I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I'm Bill Belichick 2.0 or whatever. And that was the mistake Matt Patricia made. Had him crawling back. How long until Josh McDaniels comes crawling back?
Josh McDaniels. I don't know. I think he's actually in not a bad situation. I really don't think so. I think that whole team, the way they went out and made moves to kind of bolster the offense, I think that'll help him out. But his first run as a head coach didn't obviously go well. You know, did he actually learn from it? Time will tell. But I don't know. That's a tough division.
Oh, it is. It's definitely a tough division. Kenyon Drake might sign with the Ravens. Did he already kind of commit to the Ravens?
We'll have to look that up. I'm not 100% sure.
I could have sworn he already did, and they're just waiting for the 12 o'clock thing to hit. I could be wrong though. But yeah, man, it's some of these cuts were crazy. You know, some of them are confusing. Like, what are you doing? Other come across as they're just trying to juggle stuff.
Yeah,
and then in the case of the Bills, they're just too stacked, so they didn't need OJ Howard.
Yeah, he's fallen pretty far since he got drafted. Had all those expectations.
Yeah, it's sad too. Damon says, question, with all these cuts being made and now that the XFL and NFL are working together, how many players y'all see going to the XFL? In my opinion, everyone who gets cut. I think everyone who gets cut from the preseason goes straight there.
Or they can go get a regular job.
I mean, I think the XFL will pay you a solid chunk of change.
I mean, getting hit every football play is almost equivalent, I think, to being in a car wreck. I don't know how much XFL salary is, but, you know.
Well, they're partnering with the NFL, so they'll probably – I mean, granted, they won't get NFL money.
Yeah.
But
they're probably going to get a working wage. They're not getting over 6 figures.
No, I don't think so. They didn't.
Yeah, I think like the better players would.
Yeah, I guess
it really
top
depends.
echelon.
By the way, real quick. It is August 31st, 10:22. Frankie's daughter has arrived in the world. So shout out to that boy, Franks the Ganks, bro.
Wow.
So,
congrats, Frankie.
yeah, bro. He's basically I found this out yesterday.
Wait, Frankie was on here yesterday in the labor room?
No. They weren't in the labor room. They went this morning.
I was gonna say he's a wild man.
Yeah, he's saying nah, he came in. They went in this morning at 5 a.m.
Congrats. Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. So shout out to him, bro. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Real quick, can someone put up Damien's comment? This is
which one? Oh, the
last
Lamar
one.
one.
This is what I mean by he's stupid. How come people criticize Lamar for his flaws, which is fair, but Carr, who has the same flaws as Lamar, doesn't get as much criticism?
Thank you, Damien. Man, we're agreeing again today.
Oh, okay. All right, Craig, we had a moment, right? Like
we did.
You and I. Okay. All right. Do we have time? Can I press him a little bit?
Absolutely.
No.
All right, Ronald. Let me ask you a question. What do you mean by the same flaws?
Yeah, I honestly didn't make sense of that either. But I just like the Lamar back. I'm just backing up Lamar, okay?
Oh, okay. So your thing is I'm just defending Lamar.
Ride or die.
Okay,
I don't know what Damien was talking about.
I was about to say, like Derek Carr and Lamar are like as opposite as you can get.
Completely different players.
Literally. Like one likes to throw the ball, the other one likes to run it. One is like, oh no, I can handle criticism. The other one gets kind of tight sometimes. Like they're literally the exact opposite.
Whoa.
Hold on. Have you not seen Lamar on Twitter?
I'm not doing this.
Listen. I'm not saying he's on the level of an AB where he goes on a tirade, but like I'm gonna put it to you this way: he's not Kevin Durant, but he'll get on.
I get it. I get it.
Who subs a lot on Twitter?
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
You see what I'm saying?
The hater rate.
Craig.
Anthony said he was reading it that question twice and still got lost. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Anthony.
Right. So the three of us had a moment. At least Ron just admitted, hey, yo, look, I'm just here for the Lamar Jackson protection. He's like, I'm his bulletproof vest. That's it.
That's about more protection than he might get this season. So I'm glad that Ron's there to defend.
Yikes.
Hey, he not wrong though. He ain't wrong. It's gonna be an interesting season for him. By the way, for all that garbage I'm talking about Lamar, I got him in fantasy, so you know, ball out kid, ball out king.
Sounds like you got MVP.
Dog, I sold out. When I think I got him in like the third round. When I saw him, I was like, I'm selling out.
Like I gotta do it.
Yeah, I was like, I had no choice. I was like, I won't be able to look myself in the mirror, but I got to do it.
Even though you guys were talking about, one of you was talking about 13 wins for the Ravens yesterday. The other was talking about 7.
Did I say 7?
It's somewhere around there.
No.
You guys
I'm not because I think Pittsburgh was. I said 7 because I think Pittsburgh is finishing last in the division. No. I think
Pittsburgh would finish last even with the Browns missing Deshaun for 11 weeks?
I think it's a possibility because the Pittsburgh Steelers are not good. They're not good. You know what I mean? So
especially
it's like,
if they can't. I mean, especially if their defense takes a step back. They weren't able to maintain it the entire year last year, and you got question marks at quarterback. Kenny Pickett sure looked okay. Like he looked good for preseason. But
I don't think it's good enough to give him the starting job, in all honesty.
I don't think so. Like Trubisky's your starting quarterback, and you got to choose between him, Mason Rudolph, and Kenny Pickett. I think that's a problem.
Right. So and on top of all that, I think it's a possibility. I think with it being 11 games, because I thought the Browns could win the division. When especially I thought there was a chance when it was 6 games, right? But now that it's 11, I think the bottom two are going to be Cleveland and the Steelers. I think they'll be the bottom two. So I don't think I said, did I say Baltimore 7-9? I think I said them like 9-8 or maybe something like that. Like
you had them between like 7 and 9 wins. I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, I think I had them because like I think they finished like a game over 500. You know. And by the way, Anthony Price says Mason might get traded. Who would want him?
I thought it was one of the teams that had been in conversation with the Lions, and I'm dead set against. I watched Mason Rudolph at Oklahoma State. I watched him in Pittsburgh. Like, he's not a good decision maker, and he can't make all the throws you need. Hence why he's a backup. But like, who really wants him? You see all those quarterbacks that have gotten cut, waived, all that kind of stuff. There are so many better quarterbacks out there that I don't think Mason Rudolph should be at the top of anyone's list right now.
Especially considering you'd have to trade for him.
Right. What are you going to trade? A 7th round pick? Because Baker went for a 5th, and Baker's way better than Mason.
Not even close. Lamar and Carr makes the same amount of stupid plays too. No. It's not, and the thing is, it's not that Lamar makes stupid plays. It's just he just can't deliver the ball when he needs to. Have him throw the ball past 7 yards, and the guy's just like, he looks like me back in grade school. Just being honest. So it's not that he's like dumb or makes stupid plays. It's just a lot of the throws he should be able to make, he can't. But that's something he could work on. That's something he could fix.
Yeah, it's just timing on the routes. I mean, I don't think that's, I mean, that takes a developing. That also means you got to read the defense too, more than just your first option check. Okay. Instead of a check down, I'm just going to, option's not there, tuck and run. That's the progression of the NFL quarterback. You got to make those second, third, sometimes even fourth read. And it doesn't seem like Lamar gets to that progression.
Anthony Price goes, yo, what's your problem with Lamar and Carr?
It's not that we have a problem, but we're just trying to figure out what Damien's comment was.
Yeah, I think he's referring to Damien. Go ahead, Ron. Because here comes the defense. He's about to defend him hardcore. Watch.
Go ahead, Ron.
I didn't even want to do this today, but we're saying Lamar, an NFL MVP quarterback, can't make any progressions outside of the first one. Never looks at the second, third, or fourth option. Okay. Sure,
well, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
But why would he look at, my question is, why would he look at the second, third, and fourth option if he knows 10 out of 10 times the second option himself is the best option? Why would I look? I'm going Andrews, and then who else? I don't want to throw it to my second, third, and fourth option. I'd rather keep it if I'm Lamar, and that's what the Ravens offense is. That's how they set it up.
Here's where the inconsistency and the hypocrisy shows, because he did that when he had Hollywood. Hollywood was a bum until he went to the Cardinals, and all of a sudden people want to say he's good. So it's like the inconsistency is too much. Do you want to know why Mark Andrews is his favorite target? Because Mark Andrews doesn't run a route past 5 yards. That's why he's his favorite target. If Hollywood Brown had routes as clean as Cooper Kupp, as clean as Michael Thomas, if he had Michael Thomas, who do you think would be his number one receiver? Michael Thomas, because he could run those short routes. And why does he favor the short routes? Because he can't throw the ball deep. That's just the reality of it.
And Ron, I don't want to sound like that I'm like completely discrediting the fact that he had MVP. He's extremely talented. We all know that. But for the long-term health and wellness of him playing the quarterback position, you can't just go, okay, first option's not there. Okay, I'm going to tuck and run, because his health, his speed, his electricity isn't going to always be there. Right. So you have to be able to learn how to make those throws. And at times it's there, but the deep ball is something that he wasn't always consistent on. And those are things that are going to help take the top off a defense and not crowd 8-9 guys in the box. And now you see the other issues. Anthony make a comment about the pocket in Baltimore. That's kind of where that argument kind of comes from. So like I said, we know he's got that in him, but it's just the consistency is what we're kind of talking about.
Right. And again, I'm not like, I think Lamar can do it. He's just gonna need some he's gonna need Harbaugh and then coaches have to push him to do it, you know. But again, you know who else had no problem running through people? Cam Newton. Holla at me how he looked like toward the end of his tenure with the Panthers, and how he looked in New England, and how he looked when he went back to the Panthers.
Yeah.
Now, Ron, after seeing all that, tell me Lamar should keep running the ball like that.
If Lamar gets to his 8th, 9th, and he's getting to his 30s, right now he's only in his 3rd year, so he has plenty of time. If he gets to that point and doesn't start working on those things that make him better, every quarterback works on things that make him better. I mean, I'm hearing all the things that Justin Herbert worked on to become better this year, being already like a top 4 quarterback. Like, you better. I hope Lamar comes back with new things. He better work on these things. So,
but
absolutely.
But why the problem that you're making? And anybody says Cam is bigger than Lamar, though, right? But that kind of goes back to what I'm saying. Lamar is still taking damage, and a guy who's as big as Cam was getting beat up like crazy. Imagine how Lamar's going to look in a couple years. That's 1. 2, you said something interesting because you said about Justin Herbert. You want to know what the difference between Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson was? What? Justin Herbert applied what he learned on the field. We have yet to. Lamar is the same player he was his rookie year that he is now. And we're in a league where we were looking at Mac Jones every week and seeing where's the improvement? Where's the improvement? Where's the improvement? So you can't feed me that line. And for consistency's sake, I love Jalen Hurts. I was hoping that we would be able to draft him. I love Jalen Hurts. I love him. But I got the same knock on him that I have with Lamar. He needs to throw the ball. Every time he gets uncomfortable, the slightest, when all he needs to do is take 1 step to the left and he's able to breathe again. Instead of doing that, he wants to run. He's got to stop doing that. I love Jalen Hurts. He's got that same problem. That's why this year is a make or break year for him in Philly. Because they got him. He's got a solid tight end, 2 great receivers. They're hunkering down that defense. So now it comes down to Jalen Hurts. You know? So
my thing, Craig, is that Lamar has really played 2 years. First year, MVP, playoffs. Second year, playoffs. Third year, the last we see him, week 4 or 5, he's doing handstands on the Chiefs in the end zone. He gets injured in his 3rd year.
So wait.
No, they won that
right there. Because what did you just say? He got hurt.
Yeah. I agree with Pride, but he's still out of control. Yeah.
Out of control.
And Lamar gets injured last year. He should look at that and go, wow, I might need to make sure I'm playing 1,000 times safer. If he does it, he's doing the same thing Cam Newton did. And
that's all we're saying too. So we're saying similar things, just in a different way.
Because my thing is, listen, him being able to run, that's fine. But that's not just running is not going to win you a Super Bowl. And that's ultimately what they want from him.
Right.
It's not
better make improvements.
He has to. And does it not concern you that he's still the same exact player when he came in the league? He's made no improvements. He's the same guy. He does the same stuff.
I don't know if that's true.
What did he improve on?
We didn't get a chance to see it.
What do you mean we didn't get a chance to see it?
He went down to like week 7.
That's like half the year.
Yeah.
So that's like about a little under half a year. That's still enough of a thing where you can look at it and go, he's still doing the same thing.
Wow.
And if he's still doing the same thing and then gets hurt because of any number of reasons, right? If he still gets hurt and doing the same things in the first half of the season, that's still, to Pride's point, that's still what he's been doing the last 2 years, which did win him an MVP. However, you have to evolve, and I hope that he does that, because I think that's part of the reason why his contract talks are stalling, is the Ravens want to make sure that he's healthy and can live up to the contract if they give it to him. And I'm not against Lamar saying, hey, I'm going to represent myself. I want the bag. I get it. I completely understand it. I never knock a guy for trying to get as much money while he plays because of the shelf life of an NFL player. But that first half of the season and then getting hurt is to what kind of we're talking about. And again, to Pride's point, that's what you're still seeing from him. And that's what he has to try to get away from and take the next step in the evolution to do what you are talking about, what you're defending him about.
So,
Right.
Last year, week 3, Chiefs-Ravens. The Chiefs are up 35-24, over 10 points in the fourth quarter. Patrick Mahomes goofs, as always, just like we saw in the playoffs. Lamar scores 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to win the Ravens the game, completely dominating. I feel like this is exactly what we're going to see coming back this next year.
Okay.
The Ravens are going to have a great run, 13 wins. They are going to continue to dominate this division because Lamar is the best quarterback in there. That's shade to the Cincinnati Bengals, who had their dream lucky run last year. Extremely lucky every second of it. Almost just like the Boston Celtics. So I'm riding with Lamar this year.
That was your punchline? You gotta do better than that, brother. You gotta do better than that, brother.
So I understand the Cincinnati Bengals did have to get, and we're going to talk about the NFC North a little bit later. We'll kind of come back to this, but you do need a little bit of luck on the run that they went. You kind of have to.
Yeah.
But Lamar Jackson, you keep coming back to this one game. That's one game. Look at the other games. I don't think 13 wins is going to be a thing for Baltimore. You're talking about that one game. What are the other games leading up to his injury?
And not only, and by the way, let's pump the brakes on the injury thing because he played 12 games.
Right.
So let's not pretend like he was out, like he played 3 weeks and was out the whole year. No, he played a majority of the season. Ron, you love bringing up the game against the Chiefs, right? The same season. For those people who didn't know, can you want to talk about the game against Miami? Would you like to talk about that game?
That was a bad game.
No, you guys talked about that yesterday.
So that's just a bad game, but you want to suck on when they played a Kansas City Chiefs defense that was literally the worst defense in the league. Conversation's not fun no more, isn't it, Ronald? It's not fun.
Or you could talk about the game against the Chargers last year. They had 140 passing yards.
Yes. Again, and here's the funny part. The last year, week 1, they played the Raiders. It went to overtime. 217 yards passing.
Even the game against the Lions that, in week 3, that came down to a Tucker field goal. And the Lions defense, I'm a Lions fan. Lions defense sucked last year. And they still weren't able to put up a ton of yards. They put up almost 400, which that's only maybe 6th or 7th best of the year for them.
You guys know what the Ravens record was before Lamar went down?
Educate me.
It's about 7-2. And he threw almost 450 yards passing. Pride, yes, a 450 passing yard game.
One game.
No, you can't throw the ball deep. That must have been how many 5-yard completions?
Hold on, time out.
How many 5-yard completions?
Ron, again. See, this is what the Lamar Jackson fanboys do, and this is why you guys put yourselves in a hole because we say he can't do it consistently. You bring up the one game where he had 437 yards. After that, how many yards did he have the next game? 140. So what
in the game
going
before that, he had 316.
When?
Against the Denver Broncos. Week 4.
All right. Oh yeah. Because that was the 2 games in a row he had where everyone was sucking it dry. Ron, for the people at home that are watching, when is the next time he had 300 yards after those 2 games. You know what? That's immature of me because he did play before then. How many times before and after those 2 games has he hit 300 yards passing?
And
that is very immature of me. I apologize, Ron.
He didn't. The closest he
got. And
that's
the point. So of he played what, 12 games? Of those 12
you're saying
games,
he played the whole season. So playing the first,
I said 12 games. He played
playing
12.
the first 7 games of the season. Okay, we can all agree that the first 3 to 4 games in NFL, all the NFL teams are figuring it out and still putting it together. The first 7 games is not really the bulk or even close to half of the season. That's weeks 5 through 15.
He played 12 games.
He played
Stop trying
on,
to nitpick
he
and
played
try to make
on and off. He couldn't consistently start.
And
He
whose
would
fault
play
is that?
and try and go, and then the
And
backup
whose
would come
fault
in.
is that? Whose fault is that?
The injury gods. Of
Injury
course.
guy. It's your man's fault for putting himself out there. Why do you think Tom Brady isn't always out?
Whose fault was Gordon Hayward's injury? It happens.
No,
Whose
wait,
fault
you're
was
comparing
RG3's
a freak.
injury?
No, you're comparing a freak injury to a guy who puts himself on the line too much and have the injuries accumulate over time. That's what you're doing. RG3, that's another example. He was compromised and he tried to run and slid way too late and slid wrong.
Lamar doesn't take that many hits. He does not put himself on the line like that. No agreement, Craig? None?
So how'd he get hurt? How'd he get hurt?
Oh my gosh. I don't remember the play.
No, I just don't get this logic. If it was any other quarterback in the league, we would be coming at him. We would be coming at him. It's okay to criticize Jalen Hurts and say, oh, he needs to get out of Philly. Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson do the same thing.
I haven't criticized Jalen
They do
Hurts.
the same thing. You try to. When Bishop was here, you criticized them. Don't do a 180 now, Ronald. Consistency. That's all I ask from people nowadays.
What did I say about Jalen? I don't ever remember criticizing him prior.
You got it. Anyway.
Josh Allen does the same thing. Plays reckless. No one criticizes him.
We criticize him all the time.
How?
We say he shouldn't be running the ball.
We give him the crown.
Because
he's royalty.
Because he plays great. He plays great, but the biggest knock we have on him is the fact that when he runs, he tries to run through stuff. It's the same knock we had about Andrew Luck.
Don't we give every quarterback a knock then? Every quarterback has a knock. Who doesn't?
Tom Brady.
I'll give you that.
Even Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, he has a lot of knocks. He just came out yesterday and said he plays on perks.
Yeah, he's a weirdo. All I'm saying is that
he's a weirdo. Doesn't mean he's bad.
Yo, he pushing P right now. But my thing is, we should be allowed to criticize Lamar. We should be allowed to. Didn't he play the final week against Pittsburgh?
I love it.
No.
We all should criticize Lamar, but when we say he's out of the top 10 for quarterbacks, it's just wild. Stuff like that's wild to me.
Well, that's fine because I can name 10 quarterbacks better.
Yeah. I don't want to hear the list.
I mean, I got the list right here. You want to talk about it?
No.
Because you know I'm right.
No.
Because he's not better than
go ahead.
Josh Allen.
You can give your top 5. I'll give you my top 5. Go ahead.
Well, your top 5 is going to be completely out of pocket because you're
it's going to be 100% accurate. And I guarantee
if you have Lamar Jackson in your top 5, throw that away.
Let's go. Number 1.
Throw it away. Okay. Josh Allen 1. Patrick Mahomes 2. You can flip those if you
your whole
want.
5? I thought I was going to do them one at a time.
Okay, go ahead. I got Josh Allen 1.
Josh Allen is your number 1. I got Mahomes.
Okay, number 2, Patrick Mahomes.
Number 2, Brady.
All right.
Mr. 5,000 himself.
Number 3, Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr.
Number 3, Lamar.
Can we move on to the next topic? that right there is where you lose credibility because he's I'm gonna name other guys that he's not better than. Josh Allen,
you're gonna name
Patrick
guys
Mahomes,
that have a
Tom
better
Brady.
arm than
He's
him.
not better than Matthew Stafford. He's not better than Aaron Rodgers. He's not better than Joe Burrow.
Wow.
He's not better than Derek Carr. He's not better than Russell Wilson. He's not better than Justin Herbert. He's not better than Kyler Murray. And now what are we talking about? That's just 10 I accidentally named.
Wow.
That's just 10 I accidentally named.
And
Plus,
we're
in a top 10,
we're in complete disagreement. I'm a Rams fan. If Lamar Jackson was on the Rams, the things that Sean McVay would do with the offense, it would be on drugs. It would be 1,000 times better.
He would do the same thing that they're
the
doing
Rams
in the Ravens.
offense. We all watched came down to one play: throw at the cup, throw at the cup, throw at the cup.
Hold on, whoa.
I watched Matthew Stafford. We questioned every
Craig.
single thing about him. He can't get it done. He can't get it done. He has a great run last year, and he's better than Lamar Jackson. No,
well, he's always been better than Lamar Jackson. Let's just get that out the way. But real
let's
quick,
get that out the way right now.
Yeah, Craig. Notice how he said something interesting. You said what to cup? Ron, you said the quarterback what to cup? The quarterback had to do something to Cooper Kupp. What do they have to do with the ball to get it to Cooper Kupp?
It's the opposite of handoff.
Throw 5 to 7 yard passes.
Throw the ball to Cooper Kupp. Come on, what are we going on about, brother?
Yeah, the greatest route runner and wide receiver that we've probably seen put together the best wide receiver year. He gets open every single play. It wasn't that hard, guys.
So you're telling me Cooper Kupp only ran short routes? That's what you're telling me?
Yeah, through the slot.
Okay, so you a Rams fan, you don't even watch the games.
I literally posted every Rams touchdown last year. I watched every play.
Just because you post a Rams just because you put up the touchdown and they're 5 yards away, you're now negating the 3 bombs that Matthew Stafford had to throw to get them in there. So what are we doing, man?
I'm talking about Matthew Stafford to Cooper Kupp. They did not throw that many deep balls together. That wasn't their scheme. Kupp.
Yes, it was.
Oh my gosh.
It was a part of it because of his route running. They would sometimes drop in and Cooper Kupp would end up beating the corner over the top.
We could look up their average. I wish we could get the number of their average yards downfield together, them two.
That's actually what I'm looking up right now, because the yards per attempt index, Pro Football Reference, something that a lot of people use to look up. The average is 100. Matt Stafford had a rating of 121 of yards per attempt, which was one of the highest in the league.
Thank you.
What was Matthew Stafford's average ball down the field? Like 8-9 yards
to Cooper Kupp?
I don't think you can find specifically to Cooper Kupp.
No, you can. For specifically Cooper Kupp, yeah, you can.
You can look up Cooper Kupp's average per catch.
Yeah, that's what I was about to do. I was just gonna look up his average because that would basically tell you.
And I need his
that would tell you.
So let me see. So yards per reception.
So it'd be yards after catch and then yards per reception.
Where's yards after? I don't see yards after catch. I'll find it in a second. But yards.
Anthony. So Ron, you gotta answer this question by Anthony here. He asked if you're becoming a Damien.
No, I'm just a Lamar homer.
Damien says it's okay to criticize Lamar. I'm not saying I shouldn't. But if you're going to criticize him, every quarterback needs the same treatment that he's getting. Everyone bashes Lamar hard. We're bashing Lamar hard because he shows no improvement. Justin Herbert's been in the league 2 years, and we see more improvement than him than Lamar Jackson his entire tenure in the NFL.
He's been in the NFL 3 years, Pride, and last year was horrible for him.
Okay, he was in here for 3 years, and in a shorter amount of time, Justin Herbert showed more improvement.
This is Justin Herbert's third year. How did he show so much improvement? The Chargers didn't make the playoffs last year. Lamar has never missed it.
Congratulations. They make it just to get bounced to the wild card.
Oh, by the way, to answer your question, Ron, you're talking about yards per target, right? So how far down the field are they throwing?
Yeah.
Deebo Samuel led the league last year, yards per target, 11.6.
Hold on. Hey, where's Cooper Kupp? Say it.
Number 8 at 10.2.
Double digits. And by the way, real
double
quick,
digits almost every attempt by average.
And his yards per reception, 13.4.
He had 114 yards a game, which was one of the tops in the league, if not the top in the league.
With a catch percentage,
the top by a lot shot.
I meant his receiving yards per target. I think you already said that. That's 10.2. Yeah, you already said that. So, like, what are we doing here, bro?
I love it, but Cooper Kupp's route tree is slant, short posts in, out. Sure. Why
Saying that, meanwhile, he's averaging double digit.
So the question is then, if he's the only weapon on that offense, how did he lead the league in receptions and yards per game? Or I'm not receptions, yards in general.
I think it was a lot of what came down on the field. The Rams did have a lot of other options, Woods, and we brought in OBJ. The game that I was talking about specifically, OBJ went down, and the cup was all Stafford had. But
yeah, that game when OBJ went down, that changed the dynamic quite a bit for sure.
Yeah,
I'll give you that. But just like you home on Lamar Jackson, which is cool. But I'm watching Stafford his entire career. He's been underrated. So the fact that he finally got a chance to play on a competent franchise, and first thing he does is goes out and win a Super Bowl, have one of the best offenses in the league. Like, part of that can be McVay, but I can't really allow to be like, well, Lamar Jackson and Stafford would, McVay would make him light it up with both. No, because even when Jared Goff was there, he had 4,500 yards the year they made the Super Bowl, and it's all about throwing for McVay. It's not about running with the quarterback, because Stafford and Goff aren't mobile like at all. But that completely changes the whole dynamic of your team.
Real quick, because supposedly Mark Andrews is this phenomenal. He's this phenomenal top tier. By the way, I'm not even responding to you anymore, Damien, because you're just at this point.
I'm about to say something egregious about Mark Andrews.
It's like, oh no, I'm not gonna say anything egregious, but I'm not paying attention to you anymore, Damien, because at this point you're just babbling just for the sake of babbling. That's really it. Ron. So supposedly, Mark Andrews is this top 2 tight end. Supposedly he's this threat. You know what I mean? Like, he catches every ball imaginable, all this stuff, right? Right? Okay. Just want to make sure we're on the same page here. So you're telling me, and would you agree with me that he's the number 1 option for Lamar Jackson?
He's the first option?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. And that's the unanimous between all 3. Okay. For you to say that if you put Lamar Jackson with Cooper Kupp, he'll put up the stats. Let me ask you a question. This past year, do you know how many yards Cooper Kupp had receiving?
Cooper Kupp wouldn't have the same. He had 1,800.
Over 1,900.
1,900.
He had over 1,900.
Almost. I think he was 20 short of 2K.
Yes.
Pretty. Yeah.
How many yards less do you think he would have gotten?
700.
So are you saying 700 less, or he goes to 700 yards?
No, he get like 1,100, 1,200 yards.
So 1,100, 1,200. That's
okay.
That's what you believe Cooper Kupp would have gotten.
Yeah.
With Lamar.
Average great wide receiver.
Who?
If you put up 1,200 yards, you're a great wide receiver. What are you talking about, Prime?
Oh, I thought you were trying to call Cooper Kupp average.
No, I said great average.
Great average, yeah. As in a great average. So here's the thought. Like, I think I know where you're going with this, Pride. And Mark Andrews, to kind of like, if you look at his team, like, Mark Andrews put up 1,300 yards and over 100 catches as a tight end. But
wow.
But you got to, and you look at too his yards per reception were up there double digits as well. That shows that he's very reliable on it being that number 1 guy for Lamar. But to kind of go off, if you really want to boil down the wins and losses, 13 wins.
By the way, his yards per target was 8. So
yards per target was 8.
Yeah.
So Lamar Jackson last year, I'm not going to take out the injuries, right? They finished with 8 wins last year. Take out the games he was inactive. We'll wash that out. Lamar Jackson's record as a starting quarterback last year was only 7-5. 7-5. So the fact that you're basically saying that this next year, without really upgrading the defense or upgrading the offensive line, they're going to double their win total with Lamar Jackson?
You don't feel like they upgraded their defense?
I'm not saying they didn't go out and make huge splashes. Kyle Hamilton's a rookie.
Yeah.
If he comes out and plays at an all-pro, Pro Bowl level, he's one of the few guys that does that as a rookie at a safety secondary position. If he does, that changes the dynamic of their defense. But if you're thinking about what they did last year to what they do this year, 7-5, a lot of close games. The ball can bounce either way. The NFL, there's going to be, especially in the AFC North, there's going to be a lot of close games. You can talk about like even the Browns, right? Last year it was a 16-10 game, like close games. What Lamar Jackson's got to do to move forward is to make those extra plays, and that could be like kind of taking more of a Russell Wilson route, where instead of getting out the pocket to run, get out the pocket and look deep. And if he can make those passes to other targets other than Mark Andrews, then yeah, that's a conversation I think you can have. But I just don't think like him coming off that injury, how's he going to respond? That's 7-5 last year as a starter. I don't think 13 wins, but I think they could have a similar record that they did last year. 9 wins, just over 500, maybe 10, 11, depending on how the season pans out.
I just don't see it. They didn't do anything at all. Like it's offensively, I think they downgraded offensively.
They went and got AJ Brown, right? Or was that that was the Eagles.
That was the Eagles that got AJ Brown. So that's what
I was thinking. They got rid of Hollywood.
Yeah, they got rid of Hollywood. So it's like that everyone was saying Hollywood was trash, and all of a sudden he goes to the Cardinals, and all of a sudden he makes some stat. It's like, make up your minds.
And he had 1,000 yards last year. The next highest receiving yards leader was 500 yards. So he basically threw to Mark Andrews and Marquise Brown the entire year, which are great weapons. No argument there. But the next two people, 500 yards, then Sammy Watkins had 394. So they don't have many more options now outside of Mark Andrews right now. As the season develops, maybe somebody comes out and emerges as another weapon, but right now I don't think they have it on offense.
And I don't think Harbaugh is clear that they don't want another weapon. All these moving pieces this offseason, the Ravens are like, cool, we got Bateman. They want to be run focused and run dominant. And that's also, I don't even like talking about last year because all of their running backs went down last year. It was a wild year for everybody.
So
it was.
I was talking to Craig Pride.
It was.
No. I'm just. You want to know why I'm saying so? Because guess what? Because of Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay Packers have nothing on the offensive end of the ball. Are we gonna cut him slack? Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I'm not giving Lamar Jackson all these lame excuses. The injury bug hurt. Did it hurt them? Sure, it did. But there were still plenty games that he was out here throwing for under 200 yards. Before they traded Hollywood. And before they traded Hollywood.
Who's your 4 and 5? Who's your 4 and 5 Pride? We just went on a whole 20-minute.
We went down a rabbit hole for a while.
Oh, you want all my top 10?
No, I just want your 4 or 5. You had Allen, Mahomes,
so Allen, Mahomes, Brady, Stafford, and Rodgers.
Shout out Stafford.
And then for the rest, I put Joe, and then 6, 7, 8, and 9. Those are interchangeable. Those are close, but this is just the order I put them in. I put Joe Burrow 6, Derek Carr 7th, Russell Wilson 8th, Justin Herbert 9th.
Wow.
But I think all those are interchangeable. So if you want to put Justin Herbert 6, I wouldn't be mad. If you want to put, slide Joe Burrow down to 8th, I wouldn't be mad. Like those 4 right there are interchangeable for me. So you can really put them in any order you want. And then 10th, I got Kyler Murray.
Yikes.
Not a single quarterback on this list you're taking off for Lamar.
Like 8 of them.
Who?
Nah, 7 of them. I told you I had him at 3. If I wasn't so tight about Lamar, he'd probably be 4 or 5. But he's top 5 in my book easily. The furthest I could accept moving him back is 5. I feel like it. Joe, we're telling Lamar has to do so much better and so much improvement. And Joe Burrow had one great year, and everyone has crowned him the smoothest prince ever.
I think he does have a step back this year.
Yeah, I don't think they make it to the playoffs.
See that.
No, it's 8
I
or
don't know
9
about
wins.
I don't know about all that.
There's 4 teams in the AFC West. I don't know.
What do you mean there's 4 teams in the AFC West?
It's going to be
talking
tight.
about 4 potential playoff teams
Yeah,
in the AFC West.
it's just going to be tight.
I think it'll be tight, but I wouldn't put Lamar in definitely not the top 3. There's
top smoker herbs.
Top 10, you could make arguments based on however you want to spin numbers and look at that kind of stuff. But
I'd rather honestly I'd rather take Dak Prescott over Lamar at this point.
You got it. You can have Kirk.
I'd rather take Dak at this point.
Craig, I know for sure. I'll stop all blasphemy. Lamar Jackson is not better than Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, or Aaron Rodgers. But Josh Allen,
better than Josh Allen.
I get it. Josh Allen, cool. We're gonna have the Josh Allen. His mistakes are way out of control more than Lamar. There's been so many complaints we give about Josh Allen. He finally put it all together last year.
See, but again, this is where people, the Lamar Jackson fanboys
throws
make the mistakes because every single year he's gotten better. Just Josh Allen, every single year has gotten better. Now, is there things he needs to work on? Yes, of course, no debate. But he's gotten better every single year. Lamar Jackson is the same dude he was at Louisville. Do with that information as you will.
I'm going to do something.
So based on that, Ron, you got Baltimore winning, say, 13 games, right? So how do you feel? How do you think the AFC North is going to kind of pan out, assuming that Baltimore takes a big step forward? And I'm assuming with 13 wins, you think they're going to win the division, right?
Yeah, I feel safer. I feel safer with 12. But I could go up to 14 as well. I think they're gonna have the best.
You gotta pick a number, bro.
I think they're gonna have the best defense. Excuse you, Pride, in the league next year. I think it's just gonna be Baltimore hard north football. Great defense running the ball. Great defense running the ball. We get stuck in the jam. Harbaugh's gonna be like, Lamar, make some magic happen.
Magic for the other team.
And I got
Ron,
them in the division. I got them in the division, and I think one of the wildest things, I feel like 2 teams in the West don't make it to the playoffs.
Now that right there is wild. That's wild.
I mean, some people are saying all of the wild cards are going to be from the West. I just feel like it's only going to be 2. I feel like it's
going to be a lot.
I'm counting out the Raiders.
The Raiders you got the Ravens at 1. So who's the second in that division for the North?
This gonna be good.
This could be interesting.
Do you think it's
you say the Bengals take a big step back?
I love me some Pickens.
So it's the Steelers?
Y'all. I love me some Pickens. I love the Steelers' weapons. I love Najee Harris, thighs and hamstrings. The Steelers are going to be good. When's the last time they were bad?
Steelers too? They haven't had a losing season under Mike Tomlin yet.
I know they're getting 9 wins. Can the Steelers squeeze 10?
So this is without looking at schedules too, because you can take that into account.
10 wins for the Steelers, about 9 for the Bengals, 7, 8 for the Browns.
So you got them Bengals and Browns. Okay.
That's smoking.
No, I'm just down on the Bengals. Super Bowl hangover is real and it's happening.
It is. I'll give you that.
And the Bengals, the Bengals upgraded their line. They got some defense. They did their thing. They should not step back. I'm just going to believe. Yeah,
they not only did they, you can make an argument that the Bengals made the best moves in the division, but every single move they made actually stuck with them. The only other move that they made, aside from the accusations, I'm talking about purely football, the only thing better was the Browns getting Watson. I'm talking strictly football. That was the best thing. But because he ends up getting suspended 11 games, That's why I give the best offseason to the Bengals, because the Bengals basically upgraded everything they needed to do, which really was only the offensive line. The offensive line, they re-signed a couple guys. I can't remember if their safety, Jesse Bates, I can't remember if they actually signed him to a deal yet. I know there was some stuff going on with that. But regardless, they're going back with a lot of good pieces. So the Bengals are winning the division.
The Bengals were so good that they got Aaron Donald so tight that he had to grab 2 helmets and, swing them around.
Exactly.
I know the Bengals are ready to fight. I have them Bengals, Steelers, Ravens. They're all going to be a couple games from within each other. I got Bengals topping out 9, Steelers 10, Ravens
so
12, 13.
So this is something you guys that got on the show every day. I want to try something out next week. So I'll give you guys a week to prepare. Okay. Go through, make a sheet and go through week by week the NFL standings, like the schedules. And because some of you guys are talking about, well, they're 10, they're 11, they're 12. Where are the wins coming from? As Pride said yesterday, where are the wins coming from? We should all do a schedule
the AFC
and week by week and see how the standings actually fall.
I'll honestly, I want to do it for the AFC North because this.
I'll give us all a week to prepare next Wednesday.
But yeah, just let us know. Are we doing just divisions, or are we gonna do like an episode where we're breaking down every single one?
Well, we can do that and then do division. We can do all the whole schedule off the air and then bring on every day. Like, hey, this is kind of how it falls.
Gotcha. Okay, but here's how I have. Yeah, I got you. Here's how I got the North. I think the Bengals are winning it again. I think behind them is going to be the Ravens, and then 3 and 4. I think it's really a mashup. I just think I'm going to get the Steelers third, only because they have a little more continuity than the Browns. The Browns are a mess right now. And they're probably just like they probably don't really care at this point.
Without Deshaun Watson and Brissett at quarterback, that takes them back big time.
Right. And honestly, and like I said before, if there was no suspension or even just a 6-game suspension, I still think the Browns could have won this division. I think the Browns could have had somewhat of a chance going 2 and 4 because I saw their first 6 games. 2 of those games are winnable. So like 2 and 4, maybe 3 and 3, bring back Deshaun, that we got something going on, But 11 games, that's in my opinion that'll be unwinnable. Like, unless they make a drastic move in terms of backup, I don't think they'll be able to do it. So, I got the Browns 4th, Steelers 3rd, Ravens 2nd, and I think the Bengals they end up winning the division by like 3 games. Yeah, to the point where like the last season they could rest everyone because it doesn't matter. Yeah.
I don't sound like my AFC North.
Good. I'm glad it's not your AFC North because your AFC North is horrible. Can we say Ravens and Pittsburgh?
I don't sound like team? The AFC North we've been watching for the past 2 decades either.
Yeah, in the past 2 decades, who'd they have?
It just don't go that way.
Who they had the past 2 decades? I'm just saying, like.
Cincinnati has always had great teams, fun teams,
good teams. Settle down.
Good teams.
Settle down.
Teams.
They had a few years when they had Carson Palmer early in his career.
Yeah, some Ocho.
And then after that, Dalton made the play. Did Dalton make the playoffs once?
Maybe? Yeah, he made it a few times.
A couple times.
Yeah, but can't bounce in the wild card.
Yeah, I think Bengals, Ravens, Steelers, Browns a pretty good lineup for 1 through 4. But I am with Ron a little bit. I think this division has always been just a bloodbath. It's always teams that you think, like, you can even look last year. I mentioned the Ravens Browns game 16-10. Like, a lot of these games are very, very close games. Yeah. And I think that's going to be what this division turns out to. Again, the Bengals do take a step back, but they still upgraded enough. And as long as guys continue to kind of progress, I think they can still take the division because Steelers offense, their quarterback, you got to figure that out. The Browns, no Watson, they're out of it unless a miracle happens. And then the Ravens, they just got to have more weapons on offense. And there's a lot of question marks in this division. So I understand both your picks because you can make arguments based on what you've seen. But I think it's going to be a really tough division, as it usually is. So I wouldn't be surprised to see either of those, but I think it'd be Bengals, Ravens, Steelers, Browns. Damian. Oh, Damian. There's a huge difference between Watson and Jacoby Brissett. Go look at any season where Jacoby Brissett was the starter on a team. Colts, Patriots. Go take a look. Because there's a big difference between Brissett and the actual starter.
What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive. All right, we'll move on to the next subject. Do you guys want to go NFC North, or you want to talk a little college football?
Let's do NFC. Do we have time? Let's do the NFC North real quick, and then we'll do college football.
Yeah. All right, NFC North. I heard some comments yesterday about two of the teams in particular, three actually, talking about the Bears were actually going to win games. That's no.
That was me. I do think they can. I'll be honest. I think last year they could have made a wild card team if Matt Nagy wasn't their head coach.
Wow.
I actually think they could have.
Matt Nagy was not. He's not a good coach.
No, he's horrible. He's horrible. But for the NFC, this one I might catch some flack for this. I got the Vikings winning the division.
Oh my gosh, the Vikings.
I've heard that a lot.
So rowdy.
You have?
I've heard that a lot actually. I don't agree with it, but I've heard that.
I got the Vikings. Like honestly, the NFC North is so up in the air because of everything that happened with the Packers that I could honestly see the Chicago Bears also winning the division.
And I really like
that's
Detroit,
way
guys.
too far.
I'll be honest. I could see I could see that possibility. Now I'm gonna go Vikings. I'm gonna go Vikings, Bears, Packers, Lions.
Oh,
yeah. That's where I understand. I understand that. That's where I'll disagree.
Matter of fact, let me one up myself.
Don't say it.
Vikings, Bears, Lions, Packers.
That would please me. As if the Lions finished ahead of the Packers in the division race, that would please me. Even if it's.
Let me keep a little bit of credibility. I think the Packers. Honestly, I'll be honest. And the reason why I got the Packers third is because I genuinely believe that this team is not talented enough, especially on the offensive side of the ball, to withstand. Remember how last year they lost badly week 1? They had talent there on the offensive side of the ball, so you can easily bounce back. You don't really have that here. Because not only do you lose Devontae Adams, but you also lose Marquez Valdez-Scantling, which I think that's going to hurt them real bad.
Yep, 100%.
You know. So with all that, I don't see them being any legitimate threat to winning the division. So now it really comes down to Chicago or the Vikings, because let's be honest. I mean, Detroit, they're kind of rebuilding, so they're not going to win. I think 4th place is going to be reserved for them.
Right,
although I do think they'll win some games.
Detroit is better than Chicago at literally every other position on the field, even quarterback.
Yep, I agree with that.
At quarterback?
Yeah.
I take Goff over Fields right now.
Right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I'm not mad at that because I do like Jared Goff. I do think he gets a lot of shaft a lot of times.
Yeah.
Like,
I just want to bring Detroit into this argument. I think they're going to have a good year.
Oh, don't worry. I'll bring Detroit in the argument all day, Ron.
Let's do it. And they got weapons for days.
Craig, let me hear you. Let me hear you real quick, right. Craig. And then I'll go to you, Ron. Go ahead, Craig.
So what I will say is last year they had 3 wins, and it's still is Dan Campbell's first season at the helm. But what Brad Holmes has done in 2 off seasons has already it's not saying much, but he's already put the team miles ahead of where the Lions have been in the last 10, 15 years. He's made so many great moves. I think the pass rush is greatly improved, not just because of Aiden Hutchinson, who's a beast, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
He's putting number ones on their ass weekend during the preseason, week in, week out.
I'm hearing he's going to be better than Micah Parsons was in his rookie year.
Aiden Hutchinson is it's a little bit of a homer pick, but I wouldn't be surprised if Aiden Hutchinson wins Rookie of the Year defensively.
Easy.
Honestly, honestly, for me, it's between him and Sauce.
Yeah.
Sauce Gardner? Oh, Sauce Gardner. The corner. The one that the Jets drafted. I think it's between them two.
So I say that the linebacking group is not good compared to the rest of the NFL.
Right.
If Jeff Okudah can be healthy and be something what he was at Ohio State, that secondary gets a lot better, but it's still middle of the road at best. I will give that. It's going to come down to the offense. DeAndre Swift has a very good shot at going 1K this year. 1,000 rushing, 1,000 receiving.
I have him in fantasy, so he better.
Hawkinson is trying to fight for a contract extension. So he's gonna have I think he's gonna have a ball out year because Goff, when he has a solid run game and a mediocre defense, which is what he had the year he took the Rams to the Super Bowl.
Say that. Yes, sir.
When he has a strong run defense or strong run game and a mediocre defense.
Let's not.
They went to the Super Bowl with 4,500 yards. Okay.
Well, to be fair, at the time, Todd Gurley he kind of wasn't that thing because if I'm not mistaken, that was when his knee trouble really started messing with him bad.
It was. It's when it really started bothering him.
He barely did anything in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl. Most of the time on the sideline.
So they went out. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's going to be there. He's their best receiver.
And he's
their
not
number
bad.
2 receiver.
So it's not like you having him as your number 1 and you're kind of screwed. Like, he's not bad.
No, he's good. Then this is what the Lions, I really love what they did. You can make Amon-Ra St. Brown so much better. They went out and got DJ Chark. If he stays healthy, he's a big red zone threat opposite TJ Hawkinson. Okay. Now the other X factor here is Jameson Williams. He's starting to run again in some workouts. He will easily be the fastest player in the division, and he can take a top off a defense. If he's probably only going to play maybe half the year, but even if he does, I think Goff has a big step forward because he's fighting for a contract extension. If he doesn't get it, he's not going to play in the NFL except as a backup. Let's just based on his body of work. But I think all those factors put together, the Lions, their floor is 6 wins. Their floor is 6 wins.
Agreed. How many wins do you think the Lions get? Come on, hit us with it.
7 to 8.
Oof.
And on the top end, if a team like the Bears suck like we think they will, if the Packers take a huge step back, and I'm not sold on the Vikings because new regime, new head coach, Cousins is serviceable. Cook was hurt most of last year.
That's what we got to talk about.
If he continues getting hurt and that defense takes a step back.
I want you to say it.
If everything falls perfectly, which it never does, if everything falls perfectly, the Lions could have an outside shot at 10 wins.
Don't forget about the new coach.
But realistically, I think 7 wins. But the floor is like if they even take 2 to 3 wins more than last year, it might finish them 3rd and 4th in the division. But that's a big step compared to where they've been.
Wow. I just think for me, the reason why I'm saying wow is because listening to you, son of a bitch, I'm in. Like you like listening to you, you actually kind of got me like, oh, all right, it's a possibility.
So think about this too. The Lions, again, this is last year. The Lions had one of the top graded offensive lines by Pro Football Focus, top 5 in the league. They have one of the best young tackle tandem in Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell. They have one of the best centers in the NFC, potentially the league in Frank Ragnow. So if you take all that together, one of the top rated offensive lines with a healthy DeAndre Swift, who went in the offseason and got jacked. He was working out.
He's getting
put on a lot of muscle.
He's getting tested. Week 1, he's getting tested.
I'll say this too. Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator, if he even puts a mediocre defense on the field, he's a head coach somewhere next year. I don't know if you guys watch Hard Knocks.
If they win based on what you're saying, let's say they go like 8 wins. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So not only him, Ben Johnson, who worked under Sean McVay in LA, all offseason, his quarterback coach is Mark Brunell.
Mm-hmm.
And all they did last offseason is they went back to the Super Bowl run year and they broke down a ton of tape with Goff. What worked well here? What kind of packages work here? What kind of play calls work here? And they're putting together a playbook. Training camp is training camp, but Jared Goff has lit it on fire this year.
Yeah, I mean, wow.
I like 9 wins.
I think realistically 7.
Hard Knock talking about Super Bowl runs and stuff, so I don't know.
I like.
Well, you gotta have that. You gotta have that expectation every. I don't even care if you're the. I don't care if you're the Jets. Robert Saleh is probably talking to these guys about playoffs, even though they might not win 4 games.
Right. That's what I was like. Can we start with playoffs? You guys are going to the Super Bowl this year. Can we win the division?
I'm still gonna go. I'm gonna keep my list the same.
So you got Vikings, who? Packers?
Vikings, Bears, Packers. Yeah.
Okay. I think the Bears is a big. The Bears, they're inept on offense. They lost a bunch of pieces on defense. Roquan Smith doesn't want to be there.
But the thing is, but here's the thing though, because people are taking this thing about how they lost on defense. They're taking that I think people are taking that too serious because they've been destroying their defense over the past few years, so that way they can retool on offense. You know what I mean? You got Darnell Mooney. I still think N'Keal Harry is not bad. I just think the situation between him and New England just didn't work out. So it's a situation where he just needs a fresh start. You not put him with another young guy who's going to actually target him, I think he'll be all right. You know, I think that you still got David Montgomery, right? Respectable running back that not can only run the ball, but also get receptions. You know, I'm not going to go as far as 1K like you did with DeAndre Swift, but 800 a piece. I think that's realistic for him, as long as he stays healthy. You know, but it also really comes down to me personally, the Packers. The Packers, you lost way too much outside of Aaron Rodgers. What do you really have that's a good thing defensive or offensively? Because I know you got Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, but they're not going to turn to a run-first team. Aaron Rodgers isn't going to want that. He's going to want to fling the ball.
And Aaron Jones is going to miss some time.
But that's why you still got A.J. Dillon. You know,
I'm scared of those games when he's going to be injured.
You know? So that's kind of where for me it's a little weird and where it gets a little iffy for me.
Yeah.
You know? So it's really more along the lines of the Bears aren't that good. But let's not pretend like Aaron Rodgers is going to carry this Packers, because we've seen him when he had a carry before. And how many times he went under 500 because he couldn't carry him? So it's you're not asking an older Aaron Rodgers who with each passing day looks sick and tired of the world. My guy looks like an unemployed John Wick if his puppy never died. or got kidnapped.
But he said he was taking shrooms now and found the happiest version of himself.
Yeah.
There you go.
Bless his heart. Bless his heart.
All right, so Ron, we got our predictions. How do you see the NFC North falling 1 through 4?
I got the Packers with 10 wins, Lions and Vikings 9 wins, Bears competing with the Texans for who's going to be the worst team 3 wins.
So if you got the Vikings, Lions 2-3, like who wins the tiebreaker? Lions go second or Vikings go second?
That's why I did that. I have no clue.
You gotta pick.
I have no clue. I want to say Vikings only if Dalvin Cook plays 14 plus games healthy.
I think he does.
I think that's a big key. And I've got my predictions up here too. Like, I think that's a big key. I don't think part of the reasons why the Vikings could be first, they could be third. You don't really know right now. There's a lot of question marks, but a lot of it's surrounding health. We know Jefferson's a beast at wide receiver. There's no question about that. But it's the other weapons on that offense. Are they just going to double, triple team him? And if Dalvin Cook's not healthy, that offense isn't really going to do a whole lot.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. I feel you. And like I said, me going with the Vikings winning the division. I mean, yeah, it is a risk because, like you said, right now they could either be first or last. Like, and let's be honest, they could plummet down to last in the division. They really could, right? But I don't know. I think the youth of the Lions are going to cost them some games, right? Like I think that it's going to cost them some games. Or you still need to wait for a few years for their experience.
Yeah, they still got a ways to go, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying with the Lions. Even if they take a step ahead, the floor is 5 or 6 wins. That's still not bad because you're expecting guys to progress the next year, and that's a year maybe it's 7, 8, 9 wins, whatever that is.
Right? Because I think I'll be honest. I think next year the Lions are competing for a wild card spot. I will say that. I think next year is
that's safe.
I think that's when they're going to start taking off, right? But as of right now, I think they're going to lose some important games that, it's just the youth in them. Packers, again, offensively, if you said the Bears, the Bears' offense was bad, Packers is even worse because, like I said, Aaron Rodgers is not going to want to run the ball. N'Keal Harry, right now, you put him in that Packers offense, and he's the number 1 receiver. So that's So you know what I mean? And the Bears still have stuff. They still have even though they lost some pieces, they're not horrible defensively. I think they'll be okay-ish, and that's really all you really need. That's all you really need to kind of stay in contention. So.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just me though. That's just me. I know a lot of people not gonna like it, because I spat it out. You were like, "Ugh, what's wrong with this?"
I could see it. Like we've been waiting in the NFC North. We've been waiting for the Packers' downfall for years, and you kind of look and is this going to be the year? And then Aaron Rodgers goes out and wins MVP, and then the next year, well, they lost more pieces. What are they going to do? They've strengthened their defense. They basically have no weapons on offense outside of Rodgers and as a wide receiver. So is this the year now that they're going to take a step back? At some point, they're going to fall hard, but it might not be until after Aaron Rodgers leaves, because then the question's out on Jordan Love. This will be his 3rd year now already, I think. And he hasn't really played any meaningful snaps. So even if they're trying to take the route they did with Favre and Rodgers, Love is going to have to play at some point, or you're going to have to let Rodgers walk. And they can't toe that line. They're trying to play it the same way they did with Favre, and they got lucky that Rodgers was the guy he turned out to be, but I don't think they get lucky again.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's definitely an awkward situation where for the Packers, you eventually are going to have to make that decision. Yep. Now, the sad part about it is in a panic, I think they're going to pick Aaron Rodgers over Jordan Love. And Aaron Rodgers is going to play only 1 more year, then he's going to leave. And then they're going to look at, well, what now?
Yep. What do we do now?
Right. So they're going to have to hope that the Eagles get tired of Jalen Hurts or the Tua Tagovailoa experiment is over in Miami, or Bill Belichick leaves and there's a new regime and they don't want Mac Jones. Like, they're going to have to hope that, or Trevor Lawrence gets sick of Jacksonville. They're going to have to hope one of these youngsters is going to make their way out type of situation.
Yep, absolutely.
And to hope all that, it's not going to work.
A lot of hope. All right, we're going to move on to our final topic of the morning, about to say afternoon, college football. So on coming up on Friday, we do have Gary Green from Bet Vegas going to talk some college football betting. So we're going to we got 3 top 25 matchups. We're going to talk about those Friday with Gary. But some news that came out this morning right before the show went live is that sources are telling ESPN that Fox and ESPN have opened TV negotiations with the Big 12 to strike a deal. And with the Big 12, obviously they're losing Oklahoma, they're losing Texas. They're going to try to bring in some other teams to help stay somewhat competitive. But with ESPN losing the Big 10 in that record media deal last month, what is is this something like the ESPN's just trying to find more conferences to fit in, or is this something that actually now is going to get the Big 12 more exposure for the college football playoff scenarios?
I think it's a combination of the both. ESPN losing the Big 10, that's not going to bode well for them, right? You need something, right? Like ESPN, they're a major weird conglomerate, so they're like, we need something, right? So you go to the Big 12, like you said, they're probably going to end up swapping out some of the, picking up some more teams. Like you said, Oklahoma left, right? So they're going to be missing some teams, right? So I think right now, the most popular team in the Big 12 right now is probably what?
You got Baylor, Oklahoma State.
Probably Baylor. I mean, maybe Oklahoma State, because if I'm not mistaken, they're probably going to have some games with Oklahoma. So by association. But then after that, Kansas. I mean, Kansas isn't really known for football. That's more of a basketball school, right? Iowa State, maybe. Texas Tech just isn't good right now. TCU, same, is not really good. Texas, maybe. But it's like, it's this awkward thing for them where they needed something. I think no matter who it was, they were going to end up trying to ink a deal. And what I mean by that, it literally could have been Conference USA, and ESPN would have tried to strike a deal with them. Just because of the fact that they lost and they needed something to replace it.
Right.
And for context, the Conference USA, I don't want to say they're trash, but they're trash.
Well, they're mid-major conference. Those they don't really compete with the Power 5.
Right.
But Big 12, their contract is, it's not official negotiations yet, but they're looking for a short-term extension that gives the league kind of some solidity, some clarity beyond the 24-25 season, when they would have already lost Oklahoma and Texas, and bring in their new schools they're trying to bring in to try to bolster that conference. So it'll be interesting to see how the Big 12 shakes out over the next couple seasons until those schools leave. And then once they leave, I think them trying to make any team relevant into the college football playoff is, the chances were already slim to begin with, but they're gone.
I mean, yeah, because the only team, and I think this was like a unanimous consensus, the only team that really had a legitimate chance of making it was Oklahoma.
Oklahoma State they had an outside chance last year had they won the Big 12 championship, but they lost it on that last second play, short of the goal line to Baylor. And you could have even argued that they wouldn't have got in anyway, because you had Bama, Georgia.
It was Bama, Georgia, Michigan,
and then you had Cincy.
But Cincy was still in there. Notre Dame they still wanted Notre Dame to get in there. So they had that one team from the independent conference or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I think Oklahoma State would have gotten in over Cincy if they would have finished undefeated and won the Big 12.
Right. I mean, it's a possibility.
Yeah.
You know? But even then, now you go from 2 teams who could have made it to just 1. Now you're kind of in this awkward situation. Frankie! What did it do, baby?
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you, bro. I'm proud of you. I taught him everything he knows.
You taught him well.
But I mean, look, and the big part that you hit on the head is that they want the problem is the duration of the contract. They basically want a minimum 3 years at least. So when Oklahoma leaves, they still go, okay, we're not completely screwed. We got some time to bring in a new team, whoever we bring in, whatever the case may be, type of situation. So that's really the biggest thing. Both Fox and ESPN has said we're open to doing that. The only thing that they want, show us a plan. Before we give you, show us a plan. Show us what teams you're interested in and what teams are interested in joining you guys, and of those teams that are interested, which can pay and are willing to actually do the move. Because it costs money to actually move conferences.
Yep.
So it's like, you got to make sure you find the certain programs that would not only are willing to move, but willing to incur not only the financial compensation that it takes to do it, but also they're going to need to wait till Oklahoma's out. And then after Oklahoma's out, depending on the team, they might have to wait another year or 2 before they can even enter the Big 12. So there's like a whole bunch of stuff up in the air. So like you said, it's in negotiations. They're basically having the negotiations because they just kind of want to figure out, show us a plan before we say yay or nay. If you show us some type of a plan, we rock with you. But until then, Fox and ESPN, they're gonna err on the side of caution.
Yeah, and that makes sense because you got a conference in the Big 12 that, you hit that right on the head. They're just they want to try to salvage what they can, and smart on ESPN and Fox for being like, hey, show us what you want and what you're gonna do over the next couple of years once your big power programs leave, and then we'll talk. Because they're just trying to save whatever they can to bring in money, but it'll all be for naught at some point anyway, because the Power 2, Power 3 conferences that'll be left are gonna tell NCAA where they can put it and then go do their own thing anyway.
Right. So it's really the vibe it kind of gives me is like the Big 12 just want to get one last contract before inevitably we start talking about, why don't we just start I mean, the whole conference thing is gonna end up falling apart pretty soon. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because now there are people I don't know if you guys do Twitter, but on Twitter, there's people asking already, what's the point of conferences if you can just bounce around whenever you want? Now people are asking that. Now they're questioning what's the point? So, see what happens.
Absolutely. I know we're gonna chat later this week about college football on Friday, but the betting lines we had 3 top 25 matchups this weekend, and the betting lines are pretty interesting for those games. And just kind of a quick touch up here, leading in to that conversation. The 3 top 25 matchups this weekend, you got number 23 Cincinnati, made the playoff last year. They're traveling to number 19 Arkansas. Arkansas is favored by 6. Number 11 Oregon is playing in Atlanta against number 3 Georgia, defending champion Georgia. -17. It's a 17.5 point favorite for Georgia in that game. And then one of the biggest matchups of the entire weekend, number 5 Notre Dame traveling to Ohio State to play the number 2 Buckeyes. Buckeyes are favored by 17 in that game. Which of those 3 jumps out to you the most, Brad?
Freaking how good is Ohio State going to be?
Yeah, I think that matchup Notre Dame and Ohio State being in Columbus, I don't really think it's going to be that much of a game because that crowd, the way that environment plays. Notre Dame, you could argue, I think they were way too hot. They were a little overrated being a number 5 preseason pick already.
Yeah.
I mean, they got 3 losses already on their schedule before they even play the games. So I think that's going to be a big measuring stick for Notre Dame. You know, where are they compared to some of the top teams? Ohio State's one of the favorites to make the college football playoff this year. So that'll be a big matchup for sure.
And I hate it. I'm rooting for Michigan to beat their butts again, but I thought the spread might have been 10 points, 2 touchdowns at most, but 17. Are we taking Notre Dame on that one to cover?
Honestly, I'd take Ohio State to cover.
Yeah.
I'd take Ohio State to cover 17.
48-10.
Yeah, it'll be. I think it's. Yeah, it's going to be a rough one. The other interesting.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the other interesting game mentioned Oregon against Georgia in Atlanta. Basically a home game for Georgia. 17.5 point favorite for Georgia in that game. You got transfer Bo Nix from Auburn going to Oregon. Does Oregon have a shot?
Definitely to cover. I would bet that cover. They're 17. We're expecting Georgia to go down a little bit. That is a very shocking spread.
17.5. I think that game really comes down to how does Bo Nix has got some comfortability playing against an SEC top caliber team like Georgia. Didn't necessarily play really well in a lot of those games in the SEC, but I would pick Georgia to cover, honestly.
Really?
I think it'll be like a 3-score game.
I would have said if this was later in the year, I would have expected Georgia to just beat the brakes off of them. But being the first game and everybody's fresh, I know Georgia is going to be bigger, faster, and stronger, but I feel like Oregon's going to be able to come and give them a good punch in the mouth to start the season off. Not saying they'll win. I don't think they'll lose by 10.
And that'll be a big indication for Oregon. Say they go into Georgia and they keep it close.
Right.
Whether they just pull off an upset or they lose, but they keep it close. I think that'll be a good measuring stick for them where they're going to fall in the Pac-12 because you've got Utah's number 7 to start the year. USC is rated in the top 25 again. So Oregon going into Atlanta, playing against the number 3 team in the country, basically in a home game. If they can keep that close, I think that gives them a lot of confidence moving into the rest of the season.
You're slowly walking me off the plank of upset alert. Okay, I'm trying to find what's the plus. That's about plus 600 for Oregon to win, right? I can't find it.
I was trying to look for it. I don't have it in front of me here, but
I may just have to put that one as a little fun bet to start the season off. Why not?
There you go.
We know the upsets are coming.
The upsets will be there. You got what's another one here? Oh, number 7, Utah is traveling to the Swamp to play Florida. Florida's got a new head coach.
Wow.
They were 6-7 last year.
Are they going to start AR-15 this year?
That's a good question.
Jeez. I hope this isn't a repeat of last year. Florida's the underdog?
Florida, it's Utah's 2.5 point underdog or 2.5 point favorite.
Utah, wow.
Utah's 2.5 point favorite.
Florida. I want to go Florida. And I get the plus. And they're going to the Swamp.
You take Florida in an upset win at home?
I'm a big AR-15 fan. Oh my gosh. I would go with Florida. That's hard. I have no idea what Utah is going to bring. Being ranked number 7, I definitely don't see them finishing in the top 15 if we're talking at the end of the season. But let's see what they got.
Yeah, I think that game with Florida being on their 5th head coach and I think just about as many years. Billy Napier coming from Louisiana, that's a big jump from a small school to an SEC team that has playoff expectations year in and year out.
Right.
You know, they haven't made it, but they have that expectation they should be playing for an SEC championship every year. That's going to be the first year of those new coaches are always they're really interesting to watch play out, because you could go one of two ways. You could have that coach come in and be just what that program needed and they get off on a roll, or what usually happens is the first year is a transition year to get his guys in, his style of play, understand his playbook and what he wants to call. And usually those teams struggle. They either have a terrible season or maybe they'll make a bowl. So I really don't. I think it'll be the home field advantage will help for Florida, but I think Utah's got a really good chance to cover in that game at 2.5.
Win by a field goal. I could see it. I know Florida, the new coach, it's gonna make it really hard. I just feel like they gotta know what Florida, the Gators, and what the Swamp is. And I really like the quarterback. That's gonna be a fun one to watch. What time is that one at? I found the Oregon Ducks Bulldogs ±2 +540 for Ducks upset.
Oh, there you go. +540 for Oregon Ducks upset. So if you're looking at betting on a college football game this year to start, I should say this week, to start off your college football year off right, +600 for Oregon's not a bad pick.
You put $18 on that. That's $200. I mean,
there you go.
$100.
So just take a 20. You know, just take a 20. Go ahead and throw that on that, and then you got a chance. You got a chance.
That's a good game bet right there. Who in our top 5 is going to be the first one to lose? Of course, I think it's going to be our number 7 Utah, but
looking at the top 25, bring that up real quick. Well, obviously Notre Dame's playing Ohio State, so they're going to be the first one to lose. I want to say Clemson's got a tough game to start the year in the first couple weeks. Texas A&M plays Miami in week 3, I believe. No, Clemson doesn't have a hard game for a few weeks. I know Texas A&M plays in back-to-back weeks. They played Miami and then Arkansas. So Texas A&M could be one that drops early. Yeah, week 3 is against Miami at home. Week 4 is against Arkansas at home.
Is Texas going to be good this year? Not A&M, the Longhorns.
The Longhorns.
I've heard Texas A&M is going to the playoffs, so I can't wait to watch.
I've heard a lot about that too. And we've talked about it. I've talked about it on our Sunday night, the ASAP weekly wrap-up show on Sundays. We went over Texas A&M's schedule, and then it's really going to be a big year for Jimbo Fisher, because he hasn't, outside of the COVID year where he went 9-1, he hasn't had great records in the other 3 seasons that he's coached. And you've got as the season starts, you've got 4 ranked teams. 3 of them are at home, but the big one's at Alabama. So I think if Texas A&M can come into the game undefeated at Alabama, I think they can still have an outside chance at making the playoff, even if they lose to Bama. But they would have to have some help, because in the SEC West, they lose to Bama. Bama's going to run the table. They're not going to make the SEC championship game, Texas A&M. So they're going to have to expect for some help to get in. And that's hoping that Georgia then has 1 or 2 losses, including in the SEC title game. So I don't think A&M wins or gets into the playoff unless they can beat Alabama. If they can beat Alabama, They got a good shot.
I'll be waiting for A&M in week 4 when they play Arkansas. Let's get past Arkansas. We don't even have to get to Bama yet. See,
that's what I'm saying. Is that gauntlet? They got 3 out of 4 weeks. They're playing ranked teams.
Right.
So that's going to be tough for Texas A&M.
Yeah, it's wild. I didn't know Oregon was the 11th ranked team.
Oregon is ranked 11th. They're going to be considered one of the front runners along with Utah to win the Pac-12. But those two teams being in the same division, they got to go through each other. So whoever wins that game is probably going to go to the Pac-12 championship game, maybe win that, and then does the Pac-12 get a team in the playoff?
I see them being like a 6 seed by the end of the season. Let's look at their schedule really quick because I'm falling in love with this upset against Georgia. Yeah, that's their toughest
I wouldn't
game.
go that far.
Oh, and they play Utah at the end of the year. So they got Georgia.
They always play Utah.
Game.
Yep.
And then Utah.
So if they play Georgia, they've got BYU in week 3, but it's at home. BYU's a tough place to play on the road. But other than that, I don't see any other teams on their schedule that could really legitimately threaten them as long as they don't play down to the competition. If Oregon plays their game and they can go even on the road, they don't have a lot of hard road games. Cal's not hard. Colorado's not hard. Arizona, Washington State. I don't really see any of those being challenges.
I might have to
Saturday at 3:30 on ABC.
$18 on that bet.
There you go. You heard it from Ron on the ASAP Morning Show. Go.
So if I really
Oregon.
want to get spicy, if Oregon is going to win, it's going to be a low-scoring game, right? I like Georgia and their quarterback. I think he's still going to be. It's their defense. Their offense should still be very efficient.
Georgia's going to put up points, so Oregon's going to have to come up with crucial stops, not just shut them out, but you gotta just come up with crucial stops because Georgia's going to score. So you got to be able to score to match them and come up with big stops. I think that's going to be a lot to overcome for Oregon.
Yeah, and they should be able to keep up. That makes me feel like the Oregon cover of 17 and the over for points is 51. That sounds like a solid bet right there to cover. And I definitely don't see a 17-point loss now. There's just no way. Oh, I can't wait.
Well,
if Georgia comes out and beats them by 17, then I'm going to feel like it's the same Georgia from last year. Of course, they don't have that monstrous defense, but I'm like, okay, they've done what they're supposed to do.
Yep, and that's going to be a big indicator for both teams. That's going to dictate a lot of the season for both of them. And if Georgia comes out and covers that 17.5 point spread, Georgia's probably going to be the same Georgia we saw last year, which is scary for the rest of the country. But we'll see how that plays out. It's Saturday, 3:30 p.m. on ABC, primetime afternoon football game. And we'll be talking later this week. With Gary of Bet Vegas. He's going to be on the show Friday afternoon. So if you want to check that out and any of the other great stuff we talk about on the ASAP Morning Show, make sure that you're hitting the like, the follow, the sub button, share the stream, helps us out big time. We really appreciate it. Any of the places you can find us at All Sports All Plays on Facebook. Twitter is at ASAP Network 1, and on YouTube Sports, search ASAP Sports Network. And later this week, actually later on today, Afternoon Blitz every Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And Easy Money, we're talking about sports betting, Easy Money with Chris Gonzalez. That's a show to watch every Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern here on All Sports All Plays Network. Ron, it's been fun this morning, man, talking some football. Are you gonna be on with us tomorrow?
Absolutely. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see everyone tomorrow. Appreciate everyone tuning in. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the ASAP Network anywhere that you watch or listen to the podcast. For Ron, I'm Craig. Have a great afternoon, everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.
All Sports All Plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.